You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, we take you to Arma, Kansas to learn all about a Barbie-themed story hour.
And a fatal ATV accident claims the life of an 11-year-old.
Plus, we're tracking storm chances this weekend. I'll have all the details coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach.
And I'm Chloe Arroyo. 7 o'clock on this finally Friday morning.
All right, well, we keep talking about it all morning long. In a couple of weeks, the new Barbie movie is coming out. And Barbie's something that's been popular for generations and generations.
Yes, it was a part of my childhood. I tried to make it my sister's childhood as well, but she wasn't as into it as I was. But
my sister was, and she's 5 years younger than me, so I played with Barbies probably a lot longer than I should have.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's right. Well, with all the anticipation of the new Barbie movie, one southeast Kansas town is celebrating its arrival.
KOAM's Jasmine Knight visited Barbie Story Hour in Arma.
Anything is possible at Arma City Library today. This week for summer reading, the library hosted a Barbie and Ken Bash. Guests were encouraged to dress in their best Barbie-inspired outfits and decorate cupcakes. Everyone involved had a great time embracing their inner Barbie.
I was a big Barbie girl. It's my vibe.
With the new Barbie movie coming out, all the kids were excited. They even shared some of their favorite things about Barbie and Ken.
I like his hair and stuff. His hair, I love that. That's probably my favorite thing about all of them. I love their hair.
Even though many may see Barbie as just a pretty face, the girls learned great life lessons from their favorite character.
How to respect people. She's always kind of creative with her style.
I think it's one of the most important lessons that we can learn from Barbie is that just because you're a girl, that doesn't stop you.
The highly anticipated Barbie movie, releasing July 21st, also had everyone anxious to go see it. In Arma, they're most excited to relive their childhood by seeing their favorites.
See Ken, all those Ken people, and Barbie.
I'm just excited to see, what I grew up with be realized and be real.
Most importantly, everyone in Arma got to unleash their inner sparkle and have cupcakes while doing so.
So today, I got the chance to be reporter Barbie, and Barbie taught me that anything is possible. Reporting in Arma, Jasmine Knight, KOAM News.
And I have to tell you, we were all a little bit jealous that Jasmine got to go to Barbie Story Hour and it wasn't us.
I know. We're sitting here just really huffing and puffing over it.
No. Well, the new Barbie movie premieres in theaters July 21st.
We're just talking about our outfits that we're going to wear for the movies. We're all going to go out and dress all out for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
It's going to be so much fun. And another thing that is on a good note is the amount of rainfall that we're seeing and we'll continue to see. Just in the past 7 days, we've seen quite a bit of rainfall, just under 0.64 inches under the average for the month of July, and we're only a week into the month. And so that's really good news for all of our crops and our agriculture out there. Let's take a look at our radar right now. We've got a lot of storms off to our west. These were severe earlier, but now they're starting to dissipate quite a bit. Heavy rainfall continues to persist, however. We're continuing to see that, especially on the leading edge of this. This is entering into the farther western counties of our viewing area. So Eureka, Howard, and Sedan. You're starting to see a little bit of rainfall with this, and that's going to steadily but surely increase in the next 30 minutes to an hour. So as you're heading out this afternoon or this morning into the afternoon hours, make sure you're giving yourself some extra time with that rainfall. But it will dissipate before it strengthens back up and we see another round heading into tonight. Temperatures right now hanging around into the 60s. We've got upper 60s to lower 70s. Parsons already at 70 degrees. Pittsburgh 67. Stockton 69. Grove, you're at 68 degrees right now. Now heading out the door this morning, we're going to warm up swiftly into the 80s, lower 80s by 11 a.m. Now coming up in a bit, we're going to talk about the rain chances and the timeline on that. That's all coming up in a bit.
Thanks, Chloe. Authorities issue felony DWI charges after a head-on crash in Lawrence County, Missouri. The crash happened around 9:45 Thursday morning on US 60 near Verona. A 2013 Ford F-150 crossed the center line and crashed head-on into a 2004 Ford F-150. Both drivers from Aurora suffered serious injuries. The driver of the 2013 Ford F-150 was arrested and charged with felony DWI and careless and imprudent driving. An Oklahoma child died from injuries suffered in an ATV crash Thursday night. The crash happened near Winoka. Authorities say an 11-year-old girl was driving too fast for a curve and left the road where it rolled. The ATV landed on its side on top of the girl. Well, rain has been popping up all around Kansas in recent days. Rain is a good thing. A lot of Kansas farmers hope that rain will break the ongoing drought and help them with all their fall crops. Cale Chapman talked to a farmer in Sumner County about what that rain means.
With rain falling throughout the area today and potentially throughout the rest of the week, many farmers are hoping that the drought could end.
Hard to get out of a drought in the summer because it's hard to keep up with the evaporation, but we're certainly headed in the right direction.
Tim Turek says this week's rain will make for a better harvest.
The rain we get now, I think, is going to be a big part of helping our corn crop finish up, where there's a lot of good looking milo planted and soybeans.
Agriculture agent Jeff Seiler says this rain came at a great time for corn.
Right now we have corn in our early reproductive stages, which is some of its highest demand for water. So this is just what we needed for it.
Seiler says more timely rain like Wednesday's is important to avoid runoff.
The big thing is timeliness of when it comes. So if we get a big event like this, we're going to have some runoff. So all of the rain that we got through this isn't going to be recognized. The potential of it's not going to be recognized. If we could get an inch of rain a week until we got to harvest, I think we'd be sitting pretty.
With other corn growing areas of the country feeling dry, Turek is hopeful Sumner County could have a big year.
Sumner County, we're not known for corn. Every once in a while we hit a lick, and this looks like it might be the year for it. So maybe that'll heal us weak farmers up a little bit.
While the rain is giving us a positive outlook, we'll have to wait until fall to be for sure.
Up next, it's summertime, which means it's time to make sure you get that H2O. We'll have tips on why you need to stay hydrated.
Later, historic headstones are returned to a California cemetery. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Neo Show in honor of the Newton County Fair. Stick around, we'll be back.
In Health Watch this morning, a recent study says being overweight is now linked to 18 types of cancer. A 9-year-long study looking at health records of over 2.6 million people in Catalonia, Spain, showed that over that period, more than 225,000 of them had been diagnosed with cancer. The study showed those with a body mass index of 25 or greater were associated with having a greater risk of developing 18 different cancers. Participants who were overweight in early adulthood, ages 18 to 40, were said to be at an increased risk. And some of the cancers linked to being overweight include breast, kidney, bowel, and pancreatic cancers. As summer heats up, one doctor is giving advice on how to detect if you're dehydrated. Dr. Tom Waters with the Cleveland Clinic says dehydration occurs when your body loses more fluid than it takes in, and it can happen if you're working outside or playing sports on a hot day. Dr. Waters says if you're outdoors and start to get a headache, muscle ache, nausea, dizziness, or lightheadedness, it could be a sign that you are dehydrated. Dr. Waters says if you notice you're no longer sweating or starting to feel disoriented or confused, it could be a sign of severe dehydration. To avoid dehydration, he recommends drinking 8 ounces of water every 15 to 20 minutes. He also suggests avoiding caffeine and alcohol before going out in the heat. Well, the hottest global temperature ever recorded happened this week, reaching just under 63 degrees Fahrenheit. That's according to the U.S. National Centers for Environmental Prediction. Experts say climate change is making heat waves more common and more powerful. Mandy Gaither has more on what the extreme temperatures do to your body and mind and how to stay safe.
It's the deadliest weather event in the U.S. Every year, the heat causes more than 700 deaths on average and more than 67,000 emergency room visits.
It doesn't take much. It can be an hour or two that can lead to the cells and tissues of the body starting to feel the effect of it.
Dr. Ian Sin with Mayo Clinic says in the heat, your body tries to cool off in several ways. But when the temperature is extremely high, it becomes harder for your body to cool itself down. The most serious heat-related illness is heat stroke.
And that is when you start having confusion, delirium, as we call it, as well as loss of consciousness and more severe brain injury as a result of the effects of heat.
Sin says when that happens, it can hurt not only the brain, but other organs like the heart, lungs, and kidneys as well.
It's almost an inflammation that gets created. There is destruction of proteins, the membranes of the cells, and that leads to cell death.
To keep your body safe in the heat, stay hydrated with water, avoiding sugary beverages which can add to dehydration. Stay cool in an air-conditioned area and wear lightweight, light-colored, loose-fitting clothes. Sin says those who are most vulnerable to the heat should avoid it.
If there's any cause of concern, definitely seeking health care is important.
Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say the heat can affect anyone, but those most vulnerable include pregnant people, people with heart or lung conditions, young children, older adults, athletes, and outdoor workers.
Well, we're tracking the chance for some storms this weekend, starting off with this round of storms just off to our west, pushing off eastward into the viewing area. It is rapidly dissipating though, thankfully, but we're still left with some much needed rainfall. I'll have all of the details for that and more coming up in a bit. But first, let's take a live look at Neosho in honor of the Newton County Fair. Stick around, we'll be back next.
Through Sunday only, hosted by Johnson Flooring.
Well, welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We're tracking storms just west of our viewing area. We've got that leading edge leaning up to our three most further western counties. This includes Eureka, Howard, and Sedan. This is where the rainfall is, and it's beginning to enter into the picture for our morning commute. So make sure you're adding a little bit of cushion time on your morning commute if you run into a little bit of rainfall, but much needed rainfall on that lighter note. Here's a look at our temperatures. Upper 60s, lower 70s. Parsons at 70 degrees. And then this morning, starting out your morning, we're going to reach up to the 80s by the mid-morning hours, and then the afternoon we'll top out into the upper 80s, 87 for your high. We're going to have those chances for rain most prominently into tonight, dipping down into the mid to upper 60s, 66 for your low. Here's a look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook. A 1 out of 5 risk for the green areas and a 2 out of 5 risk for the yellow areas. We're all at a slight risk for all modes of severe weather, but they're all possible. So not any of them are at a 0. Here's a timeline on that chance for rain. We'll see some scattered showers this afternoon, and then heading into tonight, we'll see that begin to enter the picture a little bit more. Saturday, 2 a.m., we'll see those storms begin to fire up quite a bit, and then we'll see that phase out with some remnants of that on the back end with some scattered showers here and there Saturday afternoon before we clear out. See a little bit of a break, and then we'll see a little bit more of a chance, not necessarily as much of a chance for Sunday, but we'll still see a slight chance for some storms. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have some chances for rain this weekend before we see a break on Monday. Now, some missing pieces of history have returned to a landmark cemetery in California, where some of the state's first settlers are laid to rest. The recovery of the long-missing tombstones is a significant find for the teams of volunteers which maintain the graveyard. Cornell Barnyard reports.
Yeah, this one's cleaning up really good.
Volunteers are revealing some long-forgotten history and mystery inside Santa Rosa's rural cemetery, where many of California's early pioneers are laid to rest.
You couldn't have read this before, and this is Rebecca Fulkerson. She was born in 1818.
The first burial took place here in 1854, but over the years, many tombstones broke or went missing.
We don't often get stones back. In this area, when I was a boy, people would take the stones home. They would use them for landscaping in their backyards. They would use them for bookends in their homes.
So imagine the surprise when Jonathan Quant and his cemetery crew got a call regarding some long-lost tombstones.
We just figured we'd never get those back. And then we get this call and recover these tombstones that are almost perfect.
3 tombstones and 8 footstones suddenly recovered.
This is a headstone of George Locke.
Quant says the stones were discovered by a homeowner inside their garage. They'd likely been there for about 30 years. He says the person's name will stay anonymous.
So we're very happy to get them back. As I say, they had all the best intentions. They were not, shall we say, stolen. They were taken and then forgotten.
Now the work to restore the missing marble has begun.
And we're going to place that stone together.
Volunteers believe there are many more missing headstones somewhere out there in the community. Their only request is just bring them back. No questions asked.
We have an amnesty, complete amnesty for anybody that wants to return anything.
Some long-lost history now being returned to this quiet hillside cemetery.
She died 1855.
Well, let's hope the rest of the tombstones will be back in its rightful home. Now coming up, a young woman just sitting in her home playing guitar gets the surprise of a lifetime. We'll have what that surprise is when we return.
Extended 4th of July sale at Furniture Row ends soon.
A young woman recently got the shock of a lifetime while peacefully strumming her guitar at home.
It was a hawk sneaking up on her and her dog and making for a chaotic moment that turned into a viral video. Jeannie Moose, of course, reports.
Watch this video like a hawk, because the hawk on the railing is going to sneak up behind Nikki Kundan Mall. She may be contemplating giving up guitar, but the hawk is contemplating dropping in for a snack. Nikki may be blissfully unaware, but her feisty little dog Cushy started going nuts.
Hey, no barking.
To warn her about the hawk.
Cushy, quiet.
Nikki notes she yells out for her roommate who moved out months ago as her energy drink spills onto her laptop, but the energy in the room only intensifies. The hawk screeching, the bowl flying, and then silence reigned. The bird flew the coop. Commenters called this little TikTok video a cinematic masterpiece. Okay, maybe it wasn't Hitchcock's The Birds, but it left viewers in suspense. Did your laptop survive? Nikki declined to do an interview, telling CNN, "I've been very overwhelmed, but everything is good here." After all, the hawk didn't get tangled in Nikki's hair like this woodpecker did.
Why is that thing on your head?
Brittany Bronson's brother had to untangle its feet, and the hawk didn't mimic this parrot.
One just landed on the umpire.
But it sure made a hero out of little Cushy, who got off his tushy to defend Mom. Jeannie Moose, CNN, New York.
My goodness, there's just so much to unpack with that, between the energy drink, the hawk itself. I mean, the hawk seemed like it had good intentions.
I think he was just really enjoying the music and wanted to come in for, a better listen.
Exactly, but what a good dog for protecting her right there, saying, hey, there's something going on.
I kind of feel bad for the bird.
I know, I do too.
He didn't know the rules. He wasn't supposed to come in.
He didn't know.
He just wanted to listen, and he
Poor
got out of
bird.
there.
Poor hawk.
All right, well, coming up, folks in Frontenac gathered together and kick off the celebration of mining days.
Plus, we've got the chance for storms this weekend. I'll have the timeline and more coming up next. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:29. The engineering technology program at Neosho's Crowder College gets a boost from a seven-figure gift. In a ceremony Thursday afternoon, the college received a $1.4 million check from the estate of Greta Mitzi Rennick, a retired General Dynamics employee who died in March at the age of 94. College president says it's among the largest individual gifts in the college's 60-year history. Among other things, it'll allow Crowder to endow a new faculty position in engineering technology, and earnings from a portion of the money will help fund that position when the school finds the right candidate.
We're going to look for someone who really understands engineering technology, hire the best candidate for that position so that they can then finish the program, put the finishing touches on it, and then launch the program. We hope to launch that next fall, so that will be fall of 2024.
Earnings from the fund will also help support a leadership academy, construction of a press box, and other improvements at the Rough Riders softball field. Well, you might notice a bit more color on a historic Joplin street these days. Inspired by a St. Louis suburb initiative, a Joplin greenhouse started a project to beautify the city by adding flowers to West 7th Street. Albert's Greenhouse partnered with local businesses and with the city of Joplin to put 7 planters on the historic Route 66. The goal is to make the area look more like a neighborhood. The nursery sells a pot to the businesses and offers them the soil and the flowers free of charge.
It's always important to uplift people's spirits, and a few little flowers can just do it. It's never going to put a frown on your face.
As a local business, whenever you get the opportunity to beautify your area that you're working in, it's a great opportunity to do so.
The project started in April, and Albert hopes the supertunias will still be blooming on Thanksgiving. Next year, it continues. Flowers will be planted and replanted at no charge to businesses in the area. Well, 3 local veterans got a chance to take to the skies in a World War II era biplane. The nonprofit Dream Flights hosted the trip for 3 veterans living at medical lodges in Columbus, Kansas. 98-year-old Louis Saquetta, 74-year-old Ivan Queen, and 75-year-old Morgan Davidson. Flights took off from Pittsburgh's Atkinson Municipal Airport and lasted 20 minutes, and to some, there's a lot of beauty in the aircraft flown.
It just has a feeling about it. The Boeing Stearman, it's a biplane, it's made out of fabric. It served in our war, it served in ag processes for all over our country. And so it just has a lot of heart to it. It's a very romantic flight, very low and slow and pretty amazing.
Dream Flights was founded in 2011 and has hosted nearly 6,000 flights for veterans.
Well, we're tracking chances for storms this weekend. Right now, we're tracking this large storm system just west of us. It's weakened quite a bit, dissipated as it moves further east, but we're still seeing the isolated chances for rainfall into our further western counties. This includes Eureka, Howard, and Sedan. So if you're in those areas, make sure that you're providing a little extra time if you're driving in that rainfall on your way to work this morning or wherever you may be headed. So make sure that you're keeping an eye out on that. Temperatures, on the other hand, feeling pretty mild for the most part. Upper 60s, lower 70s across the board. Most of us at 68. Actually, Joplin, Neosho, Miami 68, as well as Pittsburgh. Nevada 65, Cassville 68 as well. 67 down for Jay a little further south. And Chanute, you're hanging around at 69 degrees right now. So we're continuing to see those temperatures warm up into the 80s coming up here in a bit. We're going to talk about the timeline on those rain chances as well as warmer temperatures later on this week. Back to you, Tanya.
All right, thanks, Chloe. Folks in Frontenac, Kansas are celebrating Mining Days. The annual event kicked off Thursday evening. It featured a silent auction, bingo, live music, trivia, and amusement park rides. Mining Days celebrates the town's founding back in 1886, and they honored that history with a Heritage Hall exhibit set up at the town hall. With events like these, the goal is to make folks Raiders for life.
Fact of like people coming into our community and staying for a lifetime.
you know. But I think that the biggest thing with the community and everything is just the togetherness, and because we have such rich history and so deep that people want to stick around.
Mining Days will run through Sunday with events including several street dances, a car cruise, a parade, dog races, fishing derby, and a medallion hunt. Well, downtown Joplin was also celebrating on Thursday. Several businesses displayed the work of local artists for the first Thursday Art Walk. Art Walk ranged from photos to paintings and even mosaics made from Legos. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, Shannon returns to the studio sharing his big 3 stories of the week.
Plus, we've got chances for storms this weekend. I'll have the details coming up. But in the meantime, let's take a look in Neosho live in honor of the Newton County Fair. A beautiful look. Stick around. We'll be right back.
On Fox.
All right, well, we've got Shannon Becker in studio again this morning, and we've got your big 3 news stories of the week.
Live and local, number 3 this week, what everybody's talking about. It was this last Saturday, 21st and Sergeant. The Joplin Police SWAT team came out because of a man who had assaulted a roommate. Firearm was involved. Of course, that kind of takes it up a level. The man refused to come out of the residence, and it took about 3 hours. And finally, Joplin Police had to break down that front door. Then he came out facing a lot of felony charges, as he's still in jail currently. Our number 2 story, Joplin News First, KOAM News Now. Fireworks safety. You always have to remember this house in Carthage burned after the family picked up all their fireworks for the night, put them in the trash can, and the trash can was next to the house. Now, it can't be determined 100% that was the cause of the fire, but the fire originated about where that trash can was placed, up next to the residence. No one was injured and no firefighters injured. There's a huge fire early morning hours of July 4th.
We ran a story yesterday just kind of reminding folks, or I think 2 days ago, like when you dispose of fireworks, put them in water.
Yes, that, or even, the can, keep it away from the residence, because the fire can go up the side of the house and then into the eave, which into the roof. Number 1 story, it went off with a bang. How about that? The Asbury Power Plant implosion this last week. It took about 22 seconds for it to come down. It's been around since 1970. It's just about 8 miles north of Asbury, right there in the little corner of Jasper County. It was kind of fascinating to see that thing go down so quick. They haven't used it for 3 years, though. It's been replaced by the North Fork Wind Farm, which you can see just right there in the shadow almost of the Asbury Power Plant.
A lot of changes in technology
underway.
Yeah,
definitely. I hear you there, lady. And then our bonus story of the week, take it back in time to 1942 and a historic searchlight. That's what they called it back then. Now we call it a spotlight. It's called Bycroft's Beacon. And my friend James Bycroft, he refurbished this antique beacon, or if you want to call it, a searchlight. They were used during World War II to spot German warplanes that were on air raids. Is that incredible or what? Yeah. And so it's actually not a light. It's 2 carbon rods arcing together, a positive and negative, and then that flashing real bright fire is what reflects off a parabolic mirror. I'm a scientist,
That's so
right?
Cool.
I'm a scientist all of a sudden. It was pointing to military fireworks. It's not there obviously anymore, but it was our bonus story of the week because I think that is such an incredible piece. You can also get him to come by your business. Check him out on Facebook, Bycroft's Beacon.
Okay.
More
come
details
set up
on
and have a beacon.
Exactly.
Shining out and about. That's really cool.
Yeah, I love it.
And you can find more about that
on our website. Yeah, the big 3 of the week.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful weekend.
You as well.
And we'll see you again next week.
I'll be here.
All right. We'll be right back.
Well, welcome back to the KOAM Morning News at 7:30. We're watching these storms off to our west and seeing the chance for some rainfall for our further western counties, including Eureka, Howard, and Sedan. We're going to continue to track that into the afternoon and evening hours, especially. We'll see a second round of that. Temperatures right now hanging around upper 60s, lower 70s across the board. 70 Miami, Stockton 67. Iola, you're hanging around at 65 degrees, and we're going to warm up pretty swiftly heading into the mid-morning hours. 81 degrees by 11. Thankfully, we're not seeing seeing those triple digits today. We'll only reach up into the 80s, 87 degrees. For our high in Joplin, we'll continue to see those scattered showers and storms begin to develop into the evening hours, especially with our low only dipping down into the mid 60s, 66 for your low. Here's a look at your forecast. We'll see temperatures warming up into the 90s. Monday, we'll see a break from those chances for rain. Like I said, we'll see a chance for rain on Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday, a 20% chance. But into the rest of the week, we'll see those scattered showers and pop-up storms anywhere from Tuesday to Friday. But then our temperatures are going to warm up. You can see Thursday 99 and 99 on Friday as well. We could see triple digits at that point in time, so we'll continue to track that as well. And so we're continuing to track that before we see a beautiful weekend next Saturday and Sunday. That's a look at your forecast. In the meantime, we're going to toss it over to Tanya with Consumer Watch.
All right, thanks, Chloe. Twitter is threatening legal action over Meta's new social media service, Threads. An attorney for Twitter describes the newly launched platform as a copycat app allegedly developed by hiring former employees of Twitter and using the company's trade secrets. That's according to a letter posted by Semaphore. Threads signed up over 30 million new users within hours of its launch this week. The cost of mailing a letter is going up again. Starting Sunday, the price of a U.S. first-class forever stamp will go from 63 cents to 66 cents, and that's the second price increase this year. The U.S. Postal Service says it is necessary to offset higher operating costs. Well, today is World Chocolate Day. Krispy Kreme is hoping to satisfy that sweet tooth with the relaunch of its chocolate glazed donuts. But they're only available for 2 days, today and Saturday. OceanGate, the owner of the submersible that imploded during a voyage to the Titanic, says it has suspended its exploration and commercial operations. All 5 people on board the Titan submersible, including OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush, were killed in the implosion last month. Suspension of the exploration and commercial operations is listed at the top of the OceanGate's website. However, the site still features descriptions of expedition offerings, including tours of the Titanic wreckage. The Titan was about an hour and 45 minutes into a planned dive to reach the remains of the Titanic when it lost contact with its mothership on June 18th. Well, the federal government is cracking down on companies that sell edibles resembling popular snack foods. The FDA and the FTC sent warning letters to 6 companies that sell products containing Delta 8 THC in packaging that looks like Doritos and Jolly Ranchers, among others. Delta 8 THC is a psychoactive cannabinoid. The agencies say children and even some adults could mistake Delta 8 THC products for the real thing. Products are given such names as Double Stuffed Stonios for Oreos and Stony Patch for Sour Patch Kids. In the case of Dope Rope Bites, they even use the same Nerds mascot as Nerds Rope Candy. DoorDash, Grubhub, and Uber Eats are challenging New York City's new minimum wage law for food app delivery workers. Starting July 12th, the law would increase pay for app delivery workers to $17.96 per hour before tips and raise pay again to nearly $20 per hour in April of 2025. Food delivery platforms say the law would hurt delivery workers more than help them. DoorDash and Grubhub allege the law is legally flawed because it targets only meal delivery services and not grocery delivery services, and would force companies to pay workers for hours that they are available even if they don't actually make deliveries. Interesting. We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Fox 14.
Colin Kaepernick stars in a new football video game releasing this year.
Rick DeMiguela has that story and more in our Game On segment.
Football fans, this crowd is fired up. Players are powered up. And now to cap with the snap and more epic wild card action.
Colin Kaepernick hits the field and the cover of Sabre Interactive's recently announced Wild Card Football.
To grow up playing football games, now be in a position to be on the cover of one, especially one that is exciting, the way Wild Card Football is. No, I'm really looking forward to it coming out into the world, everybody getting to see and experience it.
Wild Card Football is scheduled to release October 10th.
We cannot let this evil linger among us, Gandalf.
It's game over for Daedalic Entertainment. German publication Games Economy reports the company has shuttered its development division in the wake of the poor reception of its The Lord of the Rings Gollum video game. The company will instead focus on game publishing. Daedalic did not reply to a request for comment for this story.
Well, seems like it's a slow news day here in Bikini Bottom.
Absorbent and yellow and porous he may be, but SpongeBob needs help cleaning up Bikini Bottom in the SpongeBob SquarePants Special Pack expansion for Power Wash Simulator, out now for PC, Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox consoles. Leveling Up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damagella.
Kids will play cleanup, but they won't actually clean up in their own house.
Make it make sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. I will say, I think it's interesting how realistic these video games are these days.
Oh yeah, the football one
looked so real. I thought it was real for a second, then I was like, wait, we're talking about a video game.
Well, also interesting choice with the Colin Kaepernick thing, because I'm curious like how sales will do it. It's either going to hurt sales or help sales. So
Exactly. It is so true. Exactly. And then with the video games, the one thing that they don't have to worry about is the weather affecting their sports. So that is a reality that we don't have, because we have the chance for some rain into this morning, into the afternoon hours. Let's take a look at starting our day. Temperatures rising up into the 80s, heading into 11 a.m. We'll see our high into the upper 80s, 87 for your high today. So we'll continue to see those temperatures rise. And then for your evening, we'll see temperatures dip down into the 60s, 66 for your low tonight. Here's a look at the rest of the week. Your 7-day forecast will see precipitation the next 3 days before we see a break on Monday, and then 99 degrees on Thursday and Friday as well. My goodness, so we'll see some warm temperatures ahead of the game pretty soon here. We'll continue to see those temperatures before we see a beautiful weekend ahead. Stick around. We'll be back after the break.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The engineering technology program at Neosho's Crowder College gets a boost from a 7-figure gift. On Thursday afternoon, the college received a $1.4 million check from the estate of Greta Mitzi-Rennick, a retired General Dynamics employee who died in March at the age of 94. College president says it's among the largest individual gifts in the college's 60-year history. 3 local veterans got a chance to take to the skies in a World War II-era biplane. The nonprofit Dream Flights hosted the trip for 3 veterans living at medical lodges in Columbus, Kansas. The flights took off from Pittsburgh's Atkinson Municipal Airport and lasted about 20 minutes. And folks are digging into Mining Days, the annual event in Frontenac, Kansas. Last night featured a silent auction, bingo, live music, trivia, and amusement park rides. Mining Days continues through the weekend and celebrates the town's founding back in 1886. We're honoring that history with a heritage wall exhibit set up at the town hall. Downtown Joplin also celebrated on Thursday. Several businesses displayed the work of local artists for the first Thursday Art Walk. Art Walk ranged from photos to paintings and even mosaics made from Legos.
Well, folks, here's a look at your forecast for the rest of the week. Next 3 days, we've got chances for scattered showers and storms across the board. We have that slight severe risk heading into tonight, anywhere from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. We'll see a break on Monday, however. Temperatures will begin to enter into the 90s and eventually the upper 90s, and I hate to say it, but we're at 99 on Thursday and Friday, so I wouldn't be surprised if we hit triple digits pretty soon here.
Well, don't hit the snooze button on this new app.
The Pokemon Company released a video sharing how its newest app, Pokemon Sleep, works. The company says the app combines tracking the user's sleep with collecting popular characters from the franchise.
During the day, users raise a Pokemon called Snorlax. Oh, that's one of my favorites. Just kidding. Which is known for sleeping, and at night the Snorlax gains drowsy power based on how well the user sleeps. The drowsy power determines how many Pokemon will appear on the app. Company says the app will track the user's movement and sounds as they sleep, and the user's phone must be plugged in and left on for the app to work. It's like Big Brother in Pokemon form.
It truly is.
It's like, I'm going to watch you sleep.
That's borderline creepy, you know? It was a little odd, but, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, and then you're putting this in your kids' bedrooms probably too.
That is true. That's true.
Yeah.
So monitoring all of that at its finest. Well, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.